So I'm recording now.
I can put one.
Oh, do you want me to stop?
I was going to say, I can.
Continue. Great. Well, welcome everyone. It's great to see you. We're into the school year. This is September 20th already. Let's go around, introduce yourselves, please, name, school district, and then if there's anything you'd like to talk about today. I'm Susan Walker, formerly with the University of Minnesota, and now on my couch in St. Paul, Minnesota. And I will turn it over to Nancy.
Hello, I'm Nancy Trahey from Albany School District, which is not far from St. Cloud. And I am also officially retired, but have about a 20% contract with the district to do parent education in ECFE because we were shorthanded in that area. And it's actually been a really great retirement strategy. I would recommend it to any of you who are concerned about that or getting close. I'm sorry about the blur, but my background, oh my gosh, what was my little COVID classroom, and now when I was still teaching preschool and now as my office, is a disaster. But this book and How to Talk So Little Kids Will Listen. So you're familiar with that, obviously, but I would recommend it to anybody as I have the CD version because I pop it in my car and listen while I drive my 40-minute drive to work and back. So that's it for me. And I'm going to call on Carissa.
I'm Carissa. I'm parent ed in Mounds View, do some outreach too. This is our first week of class, so just wrapped up for the week. It's been good. It's been busy. This first weeks are a little chaotic. Families show up that you have no idea they're coming. That's always fun. But today's a lot of repeat families. Actually, I knew everyone in class today, so that was nice to end on a little bit more comfortable note. I don't really have anything particular today, so I'll call on Laura.
Hi everyone, Laura from Osseo Schools. I have really exciting news because I have a new colleague and her name is Ariana Deyes, and she is Latina and she speaks Spanish and she has a background in child development and she's just rocking it in her first couple of weeks. So she's joined me with home visiting and support, and hopefully she can come to one of these sometime. She's doing a lot of observation of classes right now and shadowing. And she's got lots of great ideas for bolstering this program, including getting more resources and materials for families. And so that's really got me thinking about resource management. And I'm I'm seeing that there's a lot of file cabinets filled with lots of old papers that nobody seems to touch anymore. I'm really wondering about how in your districts what are you doing with your resources and to keep them up to date? You know, Nikki's saying she's purging some things and getting rid of things. And how are you managing resources? We also have a extensive drive that one of our staff members manages, but you know, do you have a ritual? Do you every year go through something? Like, how do you manage this? Because I just want space for the new things, and I'm wondering how to encourage us to clean out some of the old stuff.
Great, thank you, Laura. I added that to the list, and that dovetails very nicely with Nikki's question. Congratulations on your new colleague.
Thank you. I suppose I can choose Katie.
Okay, hi, I'm Katie. I'm the parent educator in Jordan. And I just wanted to verify, Nancy, did you say that it was called How to Listen So Little Kid, or excuse me, How to Talk So Little Kids Will Listen? Is that the name of the?
Yep, and it's focused on ages 2 to 7. Joanna Faber is and Julie King, the authors they've updated their mother's work. Adele Faber and Ellen Marsh, was it?
Elaine Maslish.
Thank you, Elaine Maslish. I heard them talk, I won't tell you how many years ago. And there's a program. I'm going to say one more thing and I'm going to give it back to you, Katie, but there's a program called Teacher Child Interaction Training. That's offshoot of Parent Child Interaction Training, PCIT and TCIT. And it's very much this stuff. How the words you choose can make such a big difference. And so that's part of why I love it. I think it resonates with parents and people who work with young children.
Okay. Yeah, I don't really have anything. I like what Laura suggested about, yeah, we have no system. We just have file cabinets of stuff that needs to be gone through, but there's no time. So, but I also kind of wanted to hear really quick from Nancy. I know you just took a trip. Was it to Glacier? So sometime if we get time, I would love to hear a little bit about that from you. In the meantime, I will call on Ellen.
Hi, everybody. Just Boom Chicka Pop is a great snack to have in your drawer because it's non-allergenic and you can eat a ton of it and you don't feel guilty. I'm Ellen, I'm parent educator in Northfield. It was our first week today. I just finished 15 minutes ago. Great, kind of what Carissa was saying, a lot of repeat families. I had a family today, you know, when families are brand new, I send a message like, welcome, please read this letter so you can find us. Our building's kind of confusing. I give directions. I've got die cuts on the wall. I do a video on how to find our classroom. And sure enough, I've got another staff member bringing a family over like, hi, they're looking for ECFE. And I was like, oh, read my letters. So it's amazing how sometimes you send the information and they just don't read it. And of course, it was a new family and I hadn't looked at my roster to be like, okay, who's new today? Because trick, friends, on a little sticky note, when I have a new family and a child, I put their name on it and then I put it in my pocket. Because especially if you have 3 new families in a classroom, you're like, what child goes with what parent? So that's my little trick. And I hadn't done it yet because she was 20 minutes early. So I was like, hi, remind me who you are. And I hate doing that. I like to be very welcoming and like, you must be so-and-so. And so it's fine. I don't have any questions today. I too have most of this file cabinet behind me is my stuff. But I have a drawer here of stuff that is mostly mine, but there are some things in there. So I go a little bit at a time, Laura. I can't possibly be like, okay. So when I'm doing a topic, I will pull the file and I'll be like, this is nope. I have FIS stuff, you guys. Some of my the family information systems from the U of M. I think they stopped doing that in 2008, 9, 10. I mean, sometimes they're good and I'll look through them and see if there's anything on there that's interesting, but I just go one file at a time. And then when I put the file back, it's a little bit slimmer than when I pulled it out. So just, you got to go little bit by little bit. And maybe you just do like, I'm going to do a drawer between now and the December break. And do it that way. So, because I very rarely hand out paper anymore. I almost always do a Google link to my handouts. So I know I'm feeling the stress of like, get rid of paper. And Nikki, to answer your question, I would do multiple copies of Good Inside. And the Whole Brain Child. And I call on Sandy, who may or may not be available. Hi,
Hi,
Sandy.
everybody. I'm assuming we're just doing introductions and if we have any questions. Sorry, I got on late. I'm watching my granddaughter today, so that's why I'm going to be muted and just listening for today. But I'm Sandy Salter. I'm the parent educator in Fairmont, Minnesota, and I don't have any specific questions today. I've just missed you guys and missed meeting with you last week. I had COVID and so it's just been, I haven't been able to join you guys for a long time. So I'm just happy to be able to join you and listen to all your great discussions. And I can't see everybody else, so I don't know who to call on. Sorry, I'm just on my phone today.
Nikki, do you want to finish? Because I know we're sort of coming back to you. Sort of had thrown out something earlier, but not a really full introduction. So thank you, Sandy.
Okay. I'm Nikki Murphy, and I am parent and family education in Robbinsdale area schools. And yes, I was just commenting, I think right before we started recording about that we've cleared out our parenting library. So the books that the parents can check out. And it's pretty small. And I love these suggestions. This is fantastic. Good Inside. Yep, we've got that. And Whole Brain Child. I said parenting from the inside out. But I am so open to hearing what your favorites are and what we need to get our hands on. Thank you.
Great. I'm going to put a plug while we're talking about resources about the online lesson plans that a lot of them are 2020, 21, 22. I mean, they're and Ellen, I think you probably coordinated that effort years ago. I was looking for some resources and remembered the lesson plans that are all available, and oh my gosh, what a treasure trove. And Sandy, it's nice to see your face or your name anyway, because one of them that I looked at, and I can't remember the topic now, but what was one that you contributed. And, you know, even to launch people's thinking about various topics. So just a ton there. And then also, since we're all from the summer retreat, I was looking back over our notes, and thank you, Ellen, for taking such good notes, especially that first day on the connection ideas. And you had a link to Carrie's YouTube. The one on love is spelled Time. And I watched that again. I'm going to use it in a training with some St. Paul parenting educators. And yeah, just, you know, we shove away those resources and sometimes forget. My own story about resources, though, is I did get rid of, in purging my own stuff, hard copy stuff. I purged a little bit too much because I went yesterday digging through boxes, hoping that something that I created back in 2006 to 2010 was still available, but no, I had gotten rid of it. So, but my thought is nothing isn't online, right? I mean, even if it's not my stuff, the ideas are easily accessible. So you just never know. I've been in a position of taking on new positions and inheriting multiple file cabinets of old materials, of like newspaper clippings and dittoed handouts and things like that the former person who held the job for like 35, 40 years had collected way before the digital age. And so it was like, well, one thing we'd love you to do is go through all those files and decide what we need to keep. And literally, I mean, it breaks your heart to bring in a recycling tub and throw books in it. But, you know, it'll be like books that are the second edition when the 9th edition is available. So, you know, things like that. So it has to be done. I guess my question while we're talking about sort of resource keeping and all of that is also digitizing. So are a lot of the resources as you go through them, the ones that you want to keep, are you scanning them into digital files? And then kind of what filing system are you using electronically and who all has access? So, because that's a big job, you know, I mean, that's a huge job. And then also where are those being located, and then making sure that, you know, people have access. So anyway, well, Nikki, should we return back to your question on books for your, and this isn't just books, right? This is anything for your parent library?
It's books.
Can I
It's actually, it's a library.
Okay. Oh, Nancy, you had something real quick?
I'm sorry, I wanted to backtrack a little bit of something you said earlier, Susan. Just a quick question. How do I access those online lesson plans? And
yeah,
where do I find Ellen's notes? I've been afraid to ask her because it was summer and I didn't want to bug her about something like that during the summer.
So while you guys are all talking, like I'm going to mute and then I'll go on and I'll put up the links.
Perfect.
Okay. Nikki, back to you.
I'm going to share. So the book, The 5 Principles of Parenting. And then there's more. I can't think of it right now. But actually Jen and Becca from Connecting to Learn did a book talk, a 3-session Zoom like book talk on that this summer. And it was great. I loved it. There were so many practical tips that parents can just grab out of there and try. I'm actually doing a book talk on that same book starting next month. I'm hoping enough people sign up so we can do it. But that I would say that one is a really good one. If you don't already have it, I would recommend it.
Thank you.
Oh, you know what? It's right here. The 5 Principles of Parenting, Your Essential Guide to Raising Good Humans by Dr. Eliza Pressman.
How many of you have read that or know of the resource? Nope. Well, good. Katie, look at that. You shared something newish.
I did something helpful. Yay. No.
Oh,
It's really good.
She's got a nice Instagram too. I haven't read the book, but I sort of half pay attention to her on Instagram too.
Okay.
She's pretty good. I don't know if it's an essential one. Like I would put it lower on the priority list as you're prioritizing what to spend money on, but I think it's like Gardner and the Carpenter, or maybe it's the other way around. I should look it up. It's just kind of that idea of we're growing children, we're not building children, and the difference of philosophy there of like making the environment a place where children can thrive versus like, you know, you get the idea. But it was cute, it was good, it's an easy read. It was a nice one, but not like top priority necessarily, but if you're looking for more.
yeah. So I put in, oh, I think I misspelled her last name. So it's Arlene Skolnick is the person who, I think it's either CK, no, I think it's K. Yeah. Yeah, who, she's a developmental psychologist, I think. There was a nice, I think I think it was the Atlantic had an article that kind of summarized that. And it is a nice concept. I mean, I always like concepts that people like that offer analogies. I shared that 2 summers ago with a parent that I was having a conversation with, and she was expressing some frustration. And so I was, but I used that analogy, right? I mean, I offered her Skolnick's thing and she totally got it. Like her eyes just got really big and she goes, oh my gosh, that's perfect. That's exactly, so yeah.
Thank you for the suggestions. I actually have not read that one, The Gardener and the Carpenter, but I would have to go back and see. I have a book list of my own, things that I keep track of that I've read and things that I have planned to read. And I actually remember, you guys, I think it was one of our retired PEs who from this group that recommended that we all read that. So I'm going to have to go back and tell you who it was that also recommended that one. But I do have it in my head. Thank you.
What other ones do you already have on your list, Nikki? What are some?
Oh, so many.
So,
actually, someone just mentioned Good Inside. We have it, but we're going to get a couple other copies. I'm trying to remember, like Brain Body Parenting. I think What Happened to You. I actually recommended Stamped from the beginning. Because I think it's just such an important topic and we talk about race, but this is for parents to read, not necessarily reading to kids. Raising Happiness. I like Christine Carter. I like Laura Markham as well. Peaceful Parent, Happy Siblings. I have to think about that.
We're doing a class, it's a multi-age focused on literacy more for the kids, but in parenting, maybe like every other month, I want to highlight a parenting book as well for the grown-ups. So just kind of curious what was on your list too already. Thanks.
Can I ask a question? Do you find yourself referencing Mary Sheedy Krishenka still? I know she's got, the spirited child and the siblings. Is she considered a little bit dated with those, or are those still very relevant? What's your opinion on her?
We don't have anything by her in there anymore. I know that Ross Green has continued, has more current stuff. He was the, I want to say psychologist behind The Explosive Child. Not the same, but I mean, she was talking about the spirited child. I'm trying to remember now, who else, but bringing in temperament and all of that. There's more current stuff than Mary Sheedy Krishenka.
It's kind of what I thought, but yeah. Okay. Thanks,
Are
Nikki.
others using the infant toddler temperament tool? I can put the link for that because that is an online thing that I love using with our families, and I think they really appreciate it. And that is, I think, Georgetown University. I'll grab the link because that's easy to find. 1 second.
Just getting back on Arlene Skolnick, I'm not actually seeing a book on that. So I'll keep looking. Maybe I'll find the article. Carissa, do you have the book?
I don't. I was just looking it up. It's actually Allison Gopnik. And what else? She did the Mind in, is she, no, she Mind in the Making? No. Which one? I know she's done more popular one than this one.
Yeah.
She did the videos, you guys, on do you like broccoli? Right? Like the broccoli and the goldfish crackers and kids understanding perspective taking. Those are so fun.
Carissa, what was that title we're looking for again? Was it Family in Transition? No.
No, the gardener, it's the gardener and the carpenter.
Yeah, this could
And it's
be
Allison
Yeah.
Gopnik is the author. And I know I don't know why it's not telling me. Because I know she did another one that's like a little bit more well-known than this one, but it's not telling me.
Yeah.
And I can't remember which one it is.
Okay,
Well,
I was wrong about I'm on my book list now, and it was Karen Zimmerman, To Everyone, who said, wait a minute. Anyway, I have written down The Orchid and the Dandelion. So I think that's what made me think of. So I don't think I have. Yes. So who was that? The Orchid and the Dandelion. That was recommended to our group, yeah, like some time ago.
Not sure.
oh, she has oh, there it is. Okay. We'll find this. There we go. And for those of you who are watching at home, this is really interesting having us all keep our gazes leave as we're all typing, looking on the internet. So, but we will find it. We will find it. We are that much closer because just when I put in Allison Gopnik, I saw books, I saw Allison Gopnik TED Talk. So we will find this.
I found it. I did a Google search for orchid in my things, and Dr. Eliza Pressman did an article on Dr. Thomas Boyce's research about dandelions and orchids. So I think it was Dr. Eliza referring to his work. That's what I have written down.
Okay.
So orchid and dandelions is his stuff.
Yeah, for some reason my pages are super slow today. Yeah, okay, great. Well, Nikki did that, give you a few ideas. What I'm curious about are, what are popular books that you see parents taking out repeatedly from your libraries? Because they're sort of like what we think is great, and a lot of times that resonates with other people. But then there's some, you know, like the handful of books that parents just really get into and they really like. Are there any titles that in your libraries that you see parents really interested?
I want to comment on this because they're
Okay.
not in our library, but to be very honest, some of the most popular books that parents still are referencing to this day, I don't even want to say the titles because they are the things that we absolutely know 100% do not belong in our parenting libraries. I'll say it just because I think some of them, I mean, we all know 1, 2, 3 Magic, Baby Wise, Whisper, I mean, all these different things that are like, you know, they put us on edge because, oh, what do you have there?
It's a copy of Baby Wise that I shredded. Every
Yes.
time I get my hand on a copy of Baby Wise, I destroy it and throw it in the trash, and I do it with glee.
Yeah.
I
So
hate
parents
that book.
know these. Yeah, parents know these things. And they're still on occasion coming in talking about this. And so you know, there are some things that I have found to be not quite I'll just say not respectful. Practices that I've heard come into conversation around toileting independence. And then you ask about, their parents are like, you got to read this book. And so to be very honest, Susan, with your question, I don't think parents are reading a ton of these books. I want them there more so that they can, like we were commenting earlier, grab a chapter out of it or something like that. I think they're online, right? And they're looking at Instagram and short snippets of things. But I still think it's our place to have the good content there for them and to not have those things that we know are parent management type of things, or those things just need to not be on our shelves.
I haven't had a parent check out an actual parenting book. I will say the ones I do have are the baby food books because parents love to look at pictures. And my baby sign books are really popular. So I would say, you know, some of these, but what I agree with you, Nikki. We do not have a budget to buy new books, and most of my good books are mine that I purchased with my own money. But I will say what is more popular is books that are about hard things. They're children's books about hard things, and this has been great. So this was just a donation bin I got. So I've got one, I have a whole library. I can show it to you in a second, but I've got Hair Love, Memory Box, On the Day You Were Born, things like going through situations like I'm a big brother, I'm adopted, potty books. I will never throw away a Mr. Rogers book. I don't care. When I am 70, I will still have Mr. Rogers books in my classroom. Hands Are Not for Hooding. My Family is Changing. Amazing Body. My Body Belongs to Me. What to Do. I'm sorry, I'm going way too fast. And then I've got them divided up. I'll show you. Because I did the same thing too, Nikki. I got a lot of heat for it actually. A couple years ago, I'm like, I'm throwing away half my books, and someone's like, you should never throw away books. And I was like, listen, no one's going to check out this, my 2-year-old from 1974. So it's backwards for you guys. It says going through something hard at home, check out a child-friendly book to help. And then I've got them. So these are the only books I have. That's it. And none of them are old. But then I've got them divided up by navigating emotions, new sibling, bedtime, divorce and moving, death, dental care and health, sexuality, and transitions. And this has been super popular. And so it's right here with me. And so a family's like, oh, my cat died. I'm like, oh, here we go. I've got a book from Mr. Rogers about a pet dying, you know, or someone special died. Yeah, see, when a pet dies. And then parents check them out and they bring them back. So I've kind of stopped making the parent, the big books look good. And then I send parents the Instagram reels of Tina Payne Bryson and Dr. Eliza Pressman and Allison Gopnik, you know, because that's kind of how they digest things. And then I will also give a parent and be like, whole brain child, you have to read the first 60 pages, you know, and that's it. That's all I do. So I don't know. It's working really well and parents really like it. And then they don't have to go to the library to find it.
That's a great idea, Ellen. And that Amazing You book is great. When talking to kids about sex or just their bodies. And I think it says ages 3 and up on it. So it's just lays it out there. But one more book, Nikki, I just wanted to mention because I think it's gotten a lot of buzz recently. It's called Big Baffling Behaviors. Have you guys heard of this one? Brain Body Sensory Strategies That Really Work by Robin Gobel. I know when Jen and Becca did their book talk workshop at Menafee last year, that was one that they kind of recommended up on their board. I have not read it, but I did suggest it to a parent that has been having some issues with her daughter, and I think she still has it checked out. I probably should ask her about it, but that's another one that I think has been kind of, like I said, just getting a lot of attention. So might want to check it out.
Carissa, I think you might have read what I just wrote in the chat, and I'll comment on it that for the recording that I put in the chat. And I'm not going to say the title of the book on our recording, but Minneapolis, because we were talking about throwing away books, and Minneapolis got some heat for having gone through some of their media centers and actually throwing away books. And I'd commented in the chat that one of my dear friends is a media specialist in Minneapolis Public Schools, and she wasn't caught in that particular incident with books being in her dumpster, but there are some titles out there that are just so very, 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 very outdated that they're downright hurtful, and off-putting and all of the things, and so different than how we talk about things now. So just, yeah, I just appreciate the conversation and how important it is to continue looking through these things and not being stuck, feeling like this rigidity to keep things the way that we used to talk about things or something like that. Yeah.
I cleaned some books out a couple years ago now, and thankfully had the elementary librarian to work with a little bit. And she was like, give me everything you're getting rid of and I will, because that same thing, she's like, we can't just put them in the dumpster or whatever. So I will take care of them.
You know what she did with them, Carissa? Like, does she recycle? Do they have a large, and does the school district have recycling?
I think she tried to recycle as much as she could and hide it a little bit amongst everything else. So it was less obvious if for some weird, I don't know why they're looking in the dumpsters anyway, but if by chance somebody would see it, it would.
Well,
Some of our stuff too is just so, oh, I'm sorry, Nancy, go ahead.
No.
I was just saying some of the stuff that we have now is just like ghosts in the nursery. I mean, yeah, okay, there's some trauma things, but also we know a lot more about trauma, you know what I mean? So there are some of those titles that they were like the beginning, they were like the research that was the top notch thing. And now like 20 years later, like we can talk about grief and child loss in different ways, right? You know, so like that one went.
I was going to say that I think in a small district, and I don't want to say this in a way that sounds like I'm judging others, but the people that empty our garbage cans are community members, and they share with others about how things the district has purchased are being thrown away. So I think that's a part of what happens in a small district like ours, why it becomes kind of a hot issue. Yeah, I agree with you, Ellen. I have done that.
Yeah.
It's just easier.
Interesting conversation. I mean, it's one thing to sort of feel a little guilty if it's stuff out of your personal library, that just has to go. Or I had a former colleague whose solution was to leave them outside my office. They were, like stray puppies and kittens. They were like, stray books that, I'll give them to Susan, she'll deal with them. And some of them do have, I think then there are those people that are, I think, collecting like old parenting books, right? Just like you collect old home economics books where you just laugh at some of the things that, or some of these like farm housewife stuff that is, like how you make brushes out of pigs, that like there are those, you can get those, but yeah, I mean, a lot of them, or again, when you have multiple editions of things. Anyway, well, in the time that we have, let's also address Laura's question about like if there's a ritual for going through stuff. I know, Ellen, you had said, you just sort of take it as you can and like, yeah, a little bit at a time. Does anybody have like your own, how do you deal with all the resources that are left over and is still sitting in your file cabinets and paper things that haven't been opened for a decade, but yet are
comment on this last round, because I was the one that commented on this book kind of thinning. But that actually happened as a result of a meeting with the parent and family educators, and our answer to it, because there's no time and it's like, oh, this is such a big project. We actually, one of our parent educators put them all on a cart and gave us like a week or 2 weeks to take anything off the cart and put it back on the shelf, anything that we thought we should keep. And then actually a couple of us made a 45-minute meeting, and it was just this morning. That's why it was on my mind to finish it. Anything that was left, we were going to go through every single one and choose to throw or put actually on our shelf that is like given to families. Like they can just take things off of it home if they want to, but we were selective in that as well. But the other thing I was going to say is that, so that's what happened with this round of it. We also have, oh, sorry, I realized it muted. We've asked for professional development time during some of our PD days to have like 45 minutes or an hour built in the past to go through some of those things so that we can get some consensus too, because it's not just about thinning things. Like, because I might throw away 3 things that were old on temperament, but what if no one else knows about the IT3, right? The infant toddler temperament tool, or like what are we using when we're getting rid of those things? So it's really been helpful for us to kind of gain a little bit of alignment and bring everybody along this journey of how are we staying current. So putting it into our agendas and asking for time, maybe once a year, twice a year during PD to actually do some of that conversation.
And I was trying to count up how many times in 20 years working for this district we've moved buildings. The entire program has moved. And so I think that's probably what's happened in ours. Yep. When you move a building, somehow some of those things are easier to let go of.
Well, and sometimes it takes stuff like that to motivate. I mean, like our own houses, right? I mean, I'll get to it. But when you physically have to move and you know what a pain that is, right? It's just like, I'm not moving those books the 3rd time. Like that's it, right? And then you're more motivated to do it. I have to say these little libraries that we have around in neighborhoods are wonderful, because you can put really anything in there. And I am never cease to be surprised about what people will take, and people will drive up in their cars, as plentiful as they are, the libraries, and they're like going from little library to little library to, I don't know whether they're looking for like antique books or exactly what, but pretty much anything that goes in there eventually will go. And then I felt kind of good that I've had some old parenting books, or I mean, that I would give away, like things from the retreat, for instance, that if you guys didn't want, I could put in my little library, and you know, people would want them, people would take them. So, but yeah, sometimes it takes a physical motivation to go through things, or like photos, like digitizing photos and having. So tell me, what do any of you digitize records? Or is your school district doing it, or like with your lesson plans, and do you scan them? Do you put them on CDs? Do you put them on flash drives? Are you putting them into a cloud? What are you doing with your electronic records?
I'll scan mine and put them in my Google Drive.
For us,
That way-
everything is a drive.
Ellen, is that your Google Drive or the district's?
Mine.
Yeah, yeah, see, that's what, yeah. That's what because I was so close to retirement when they were moving all of our stuff into Google Drive, and I thought, I'm gonna lose access to that once they drop my email, my school email. And those, you know, yes, I did it on school time, so it's technically their material, right? But my lesson plans, for example, I didn't want to lose access to them. So, you know, and I had to figure out a way to,
Oh yeah, I would definitely like copy everything. If I was leaving, I would copy everything over.
yep, I had to buy a stick, and
I was going to say
I did that when I
now-
left Faribault. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Now our district has initiated for different programs some shared drives, which is different than, like, you have your drive and it's not the shared with me. This is a shared drive that's not owned in anybody's name. So you could have a shared drive for a program, and then that is not connected to someone's name. So when someone goes, it's not going to be impacted. And that's been, I feel like, only within the past few years that we've had that capacity.
well, so is it different than, I mean, we have a department shared drive, but without my school email address, I wouldn't be able to access those things. So do you mean that the shared drive is then with your personal Gmail account, for example, so that you're then able to access it after you leave?
With the shared drive, that it probably still is within our organization. I don't know who we can give access to that. I was just saying it because it's not connected to a person. So it does eliminate, like, if there's 6 of us working, you know, within a district, you know, PEs here, and one of us had a bunch of stuff that everyone was using, it gets rid of that because it can all go into that shared
Mm.
drive and it's not connected to me anymore.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Well, thanks for ideas, because I think we now have 7 parent educators, and it is something to consider. And I like the idea of, you know, using our PD time, like an hour to go through it, or just put it in our schedule and do simple things like put it on the cart. Because we had to move some things because of water damage, and it's like, we had to open up all the files, and I'm like, isn't this a good time to just start to go through it? So, thank you for the suggestions.
Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, bye, Nikki.
How is Becca doing? Has anyone talked to her or heard